What is going on, y'all? My name is Alex. I'm your favorite Dallas real estate agent. In this video, I'll be going over how to get your home sold at a premium fast in today's market. As I'm sure you're all aware of now, the real estate market is a little bit strange right now. It's nowhere near as hectic as it was about 2 years ago or even a year ago in a few months. Homes are selling really fast compared to today's market where homes aren't selling nearly as fast, yet they're still selling at a really high price even with these really high interest rates. Because of this, I think it's really important to be at the top of your A game when it comes to selling your property. So if you're having to sell for whatever reason, it's really important to be best prepared, right? And that's kind of what I want to break down in today's video. I want this to serve you as almost a guide, so that way you can know what to expect, you can know how to best prepare, and you can have a full understanding of the home buying process. I will be breaking it down, especially because I understand that it can be a very overwhelming process, and because of that, it can be a very stressful process. So I want you to be able to already have an understanding. That way you'll be at least aware of what's to come next. And so honestly, this video will serve you whether you're gonna go ahead and use a real estate agent, whether you want to sell on your own, doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna give you all the tips and you can go ahead and use this as almost a guide, right? Starting off at number one is preparation. When I say preparation, I don't mean renovating your home completely. And the reason why I don't necessarily recommend this most of the time is because you may fully renovate the home, have a number in mind that you want to sell the property for, and then not make up that money that you just put into renovating the home. So, but some of the things that I would recommend you prepare or maybe fix up a bit are upgrading maybe some appliances in the home, maybe some light fixtures, getting a fresh coat of paint in some of the bedrooms, especially some more neutral colors, which is what's really trendy nowadays. I also recommend fixing anything that you've maybe been putting off. For example, if there's anything wrong with the electrical, plumbing, maybe something wrong with the foundation that you've been meaning to get worked on. Stuff like that can definitely help out. You could maybe replace the flooring if you needed to upgrade that. Right, but like I said, you don't have to renovate the whole house. Maybe just a few things that aren't too expensive that will really elevate the look of your home. But if it makes sense, you do the math and the numbers will add up, then by all means, go ahead and fix up the whole thing if you'd like to. Now for the second step of the process, that's kind of when I recommend you going out and interviewing at least 2 to 3 different real estate agents. If that's the route that you're going to take. A real estate agent should be able to help you out with the whole process, from marketing, even tips on preparation, negotiating for you, and overall just helping guide you throughout the whole process. When interviewing these agents, really make sure that they are knowledgeable, that they know the market, that they show you the right information that makes sense. And while you may have a number in mind already of what you're wanting your property to sell, I do recommend being open to what some of their agents tell you. Well, you don't have to necessarily sell it what they tell you. Do take it into account, and if the data makes sense, I definitely recommend at least trying to be close to that number. So the third step of the process would be coming up with a pricing strategy. Like I mentioned, a real estate agent is going to show you some of the data to best determine a good pricing strategy for your property. They're going to take into account different properties that have sold in the market in your subdivision or your neighborhood, properties that are currently under contract, really similar to yours, from square footage, number of rooms, subdivision or the area, different features of the property that are similar. So a lot of these factors that really help compare your home to the other ones. And then of course, they're also going to take into account some of the properties that are currently active or pretty much your competition. You know, there's typically 3 different numbers that you can come up with for a good pricing strategy. A low and competitive number that will cause your home to sell at a premium. Some of the benefits to this number are that you do have a chance of getting some multiple offers situations and getting above your asking price or your listing price. Now the second number is typically somewhere at market value that will still sell, and it should be selling roughly around the same amount of days that all the other properties are selling at. But with the third and highest number, I mean, you really do risk having that property sit on the market for way too long. And one of the biggest issues with this is that you lose that negotiating leverage if your market sits on the property for too long. Of course, each market is different, each neighborhood and subdivision are different, so I can't really break down your exact neighborhood. So like I said, I do recommend speaking to some kind of real estate professional to best help you list that property. And each situation is different as well, right? I understand some sellers are looking to sell at a certain time frame, other sellers aren't as motivated or really just want to test out the market. You know, you can have the best marketing, you can do all the video, you can do all the photography, but if your pricing strategy is not right, it is very unlikely that your property is going to sell. Plain and simple. I mean, we've all seen it countless times. A lot of different agents, we've seen it. After going over that pricing strategy, I mean, a good real estate agent should be breaking down the marketing that they're going to do for your property. Hopefully they do, but if they don't, I mean, here are some of the marketing tips that I suggest you do or that you try out. First of all, professional photos. Professional photography is probably the biggest part of the marketing strategy, at least in my opinion. I mean, photos are what initially attract buyers. Having really high quality pictures is just proven to bring in a lot more attention to your property. Having these posted on as many different websites as possible and as many different social media outlets as possible is definitely a great idea. You know, the more eyes your property gets, the more likely it is to bring in a buyer. So that is definitely something you want. On top of this, video also helps a ton. You know, video marketing is really hot right now. And so I do recommend at least shooting some kind of video for YouTube, Instagram Reels, or Facebook Reels as well. Now, if you are going to do this on your own, I recommend looking at different Instagram videos as references. You can even check out mine, as I have a few of those. You can also check out some YouTube videos and see what exactly it is that they're highlighting, how they're walking through the property. And then you could also run Facebook ads, Instagram ads as well, and really just pay about $10 a day to run those as well. You can send mailers. A good real estate agent will pretty much cover all of this. They should also be calling different agents, lenders, their own database, and just getting a ton of exposure on your property through a lot of different methods. So after your pricing strategy is in place, you have all the marketing in place as well. That is when you're going to go ahead, and that is when you should be pretty much listing it on market if you haven't already. So from here on out, I'm pretty much just gonna go over the process as if you were using a real estate agent. So once you have that property listed on the market and all that marketing is put into place and you're having it shown and people are coming over to see the property, you want to make sure, of course, that you declutter the property before all the showings and, of course, before the pictures. And you also want to be flexible with showings. You know, I understand it can be really annoying, especially when people are coming at a lot of different times of the day, but this is really important because it is shown that the more obstacles that buyers have when it comes to setting up a showing for a certain property, the least interested they become. You should also consider staging, although it can get a little bit pricey. Having staging or at least some kind of furniture in place that is really nice or appealing can definitely help out. This almost serves as a reference for buyers to almost imagine themselves living in the property and seeing how they would decorate different parts of the house. Once the property is listed, you're gonna have showings. It will be kind of annoying, but trust me, this is definitely worth it. Once you do get that offer that makes sense for you, your property will go under contract. A buyer's agent is most likely gonna be the one bringing in the other buyer. So when you go under contract, you want to make sure that the numbers make sense and don't just look at the highest offer. Also pay attention to the terms on the offer. Once you do go under contract, the buyers are going to have an option period, which is typically 5 to 15 days, in which they're going to do their due diligence, run their inspections, and they may want to negotiate based off of the inspection report. They'll have an option to back out of the contract for whatever reason. After that inspection report comes back, they'll probably be negotiating for you as a seller to either work on some repairs, or they're going to ask for a little bit of credit on closing, of course, depending on the inspection report. You don't necessarily have to agree to repair anything or to give them credit. Your agent should be helping you negotiate, but depending on the circumstances, I mean, your agent will help you out in this situation. After the inspection report and the option period, the buyer's lender is going to send out an appraiser to perform an appraisal to pretty much make sure that the property is sufficient collateral and worth the amount that the borrower has agreed to pay. If the appraisal comes in higher than the purchase price, then the buyer is already going to have a little bit of equity in the property. But if the appraisal comes in lower, then you may have to negotiate depending on if there is a contingency put in place. So you and the buyer can either meet somewhere in the middle, you can reduce the purchase price, or there can be just an agreement to back out. And hopefully, if you've gotten through the appraisal contingency, then you're pretty much almost ready to close. The buyers will have a final walkthrough in which they're going to make sure that the property looks exactly the same as when they first viewed the property. And about 3 days before the closing, the title company is going to send out a closing disclosure, which will have all the numbers and a breakdown of all the numbers and exactly how much you're going to be netting. So once you finally close, there will be a lot of documents to sign, but don't worry, someone is going to be there at the closing table pretty much explaining each document. So No need to worry about that. And finally, after all of that, you will be closed on that property and hopefully stress-free. Keep in mind, this process is not so one-dimensional. There can be a lot of different factors that change the process completely. And not one home is the same, not one buyer is the same, not one seller is the same. So there are just a lot of different factors that can change the process. This can be a very stressful situation. It can be a little bit confusing at times. So I do suggest seeking out some kind of help at least. So I hope this video was really helpful to you. If so, feel free to leave me a thumbs up. And as always, if there is anything in the world that I can help you out with, for example, if you're thinking about moving into the Dallas area, or honestly even thinking about moving out of the Dallas area, I am more than happy to help out with even a simple question. I've already had some of y'all reach out to me, and as always, I am here to help. So thank you so much for watching. Until next time.